What's up, everybody? I'm back with another movie review, and this is of a movie called Goodwill Hunting. Movie released back in, I believe, 1996 or 1997. I don't remember. The correct year it was released will be on the title of the video. This stars Robin Williams, and I think his name is Matt Damon. They're the two main characters. At least they're supposed to be. And it's basically a movie about overcoming like trauma from your childhood and not letting it affect your life, or that kind of thing, or like working out underlying issues and using them to that kind of thing. It's what it basically is all about. But my brother suggested that we watch this, and honestly, a lot of people I've asked that have asked about this movie say it's pretty good. It's really good movie. And I thought it was decent. I thought it was pretty good. But it's not perfect in my opinion. There are a few flaws. One is that I think the establishment of Robin Williams' character, he's like the therapist, kind of like a counselor in university there at Harvard. By the way, if you guys know that Harvard, it's all set in Harvard, and him as like the therapist, the counselor of the university kind of thing, or like a teacher of like counseling. His establishment as a character comes on very, very late. I don't know if he's meant. I don't know if he's really. I don't know if he's really. He is definitely a main character because once he is introduced, he plays a very big role in the movie. But it takes a while. It takes at least a little over a quarter of the movie for him to actually be introduced, which to me is a little long for a frontal main character that they put him as to be introduced. In my opinion, there's really Matt Damon, obviously, because he's introduced pretty early on. The janitor guy who is really smart, but chose not to go to school. He's working as a janitor at the university. He solves the really hard problem, that kind of thing. And I think he's obviously a main character. And I think also the other professor, the one who originally like gives the problem that Matt Damon solves, and then they talk about it, and then he tries to hook him up with like good jobs and whatnot, and originally like starts the counseling because he's the one that is bailing Matt Damon out of prison because of the fight that happens at the beginning of the movie. Keeps counseling and that kind of thing. I feel like he's also just as much of a main character as Robin Williams is. My opinion. That's what I'm thinking about that. But I also really enjoyed this movie. Did a good job, I think, of portraying different, like how he acts, how he's so intelligent, and how he acts around his friends, and like the reason why he is friends, like such good friends with people that are not on the same IQ level as him, maybe have same different ideologies, that maybe not as much of a career like growth potential as Matt Damon does. I think it does a good job of portraying like why he chose that path, why he's on the path that he is, and that's because his friends are loyal to him, and he doesn't have that in his childhood, and that's pretty cool to look at there, I think. Man, though, I mean, I get you're at Harvard. Harvard's near Boston, right? But, like, you really have to go with these accents. Every single one, not the professors, obviously, but every single one, the main characters, like, Matt Damon and his friends, they've all got these fucking, heavy accents, heavy Boston accents. It's a little much to hear. I get why they did that, but it's not, doesn't take away from like the characters themselves or anything. It's just why it seems it's overly emphasized, in my opinion. And then the whole thing with the girl, that's pretty cool. I mean, the girl herself, her looks are mid. I don't know. I mean, I understand. I mean, they work out in the end. I think it's a good character arc development kind of thing, though. yeah, it didn't seem like it was 100% emphasized to its full potential, but I thought overall, I think it was a pretty decent little side plot going on. I guess it was not much of a side plot as it was working towards the main plot. Um, and also the rivalry between the main two professors that we see in the movie, the one that's like got all the achievements that originally hooks up, gets to try and hook it up Matt Damon with the jobs and stuff like that, and then also Robin Williams, the therapist. The rivalry between the two, because we get a lot of backstory about it near the end of the movie, when it's just them two talking in the room, before Matt Damon walks in and they have a last heartfelt conversation. I feel like it really could have been emphasized more. Not necessarily with like a flashback sort of thing, but I think it could have been very well emphasized, maybe with some earlier like conversation or a little bit more research into it via the main character Matt Damon. I don't know. I feel like there was a lot. It was a very intense scene, and there was no lead up to it whatsoever, and there was so much to digest in this little part of the movie that ended up having a big connecting role and everything going on. I don't know. I just felt like that maybe could have been emphasized a little bit more. But like I keep saying that there's a lot of parts in this movie that could have been emphasized more or ran along with more. Even so, it felt like this movie just kind of went on for a little while. It's not like a super long movie. You know, it's not like one of these 3.5 hour like extended director's cuts of like fucking Lord of the Rings bullshit. But it's not also like, you know, like a traditional like hour and 20-minute film. I think it's closer to the 2 hour mark. I don't know exactly what the runtime is. I don't know exactly if it was like physical runtime is so long, but it felt like it just dragged along. And that could be just because they were always jumping in between certain plot lines, like Matt Damon and the girl, Matt Damon with his friends, Matt Damon with the therapist, Matt Damon with the job. I mean, there were so many different plot lines going along at once, and they always were constantly jumping in between one or the other, that I think, you know, it took a long time for each line to develop. Once it did, it worked together and it worked out and it was cool. But getting to that point took a while, and I think that's why it might have dragged on a little bit. Regardless, though, this is still a really good movie, and I think it's a movie that has really standed the test of time. You know, it's one of those that has aged, I think, like fine wine, in my opinion. And I think it's really, even, you know, almost 30 years later, I think it's still a really good movie. So, my final score, though, of Goodwill Hunting, I'm probably just going to have to give it an 8 out of 10. Maybe a 7. I'm going to give it a 7. I can't give it an 8. But it's just not my kind of movie, you know what I'm saying? There were some good elements to it. I definitely enjoyed watching it. It was not close to one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but it was far from the best, too. But I think a lot of other people can really relate to the movie, and I touched to it, and I think that's what they were going for there, and they did a good job of that. So that's going to do it for this review of Goodwill Hunting. Stay tuned for other much more amazing movie reviews and other much more amazing content coming to you from Pringleson. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.